Tomorrow is the big day. 90,000 Husker fans will be making their way to Memorial Stadium to watch the Nebraska spring game, and all of them will have their eyes set on one man and one man alone, Dylan Raiola. The most hyped up freshman Nebraska quarterback ever, and he's set to make his collegiate debut. So in today's video, I'm going to break down my predictions for Dylan Raiola's first ever spring game. We'll go over what to expect, what he's done so far in spring practice, and overall outlook his future for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And man, oh man, it's set to be a good one. So before we dive into it, make sure to hit that like button if you're excited about Dylan Raiola and him throwing his first pass in the Husker uniform, along with subscribing to the channel. I'm going to have so much content throughout the off season, throughout the summer, and of course, going into the fall season, talking about Nebraska football, Nebraska recruiting. So if you don't want to miss a second of that, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. But let's just jump right into it, talking about Dylan Raiola. And again, it's crazy to believe that the spring game is tomorrow. Went by super quick. And yeah, the hype is palpable. Everybody is talking about Dylan Raiola, what to expect, what the first play is going to be with him under center. But before we get into my overall predictions, let's talk about him at spring practice first, what he's done so far during spring practice and what we can expect in the actual spring game. Instantly, when he got on campus for spring practice, man, oh man, he showed the coaches why he was a five-star, why he was offered by every school in the country. The arm strength and the accuracy was impressive from day one. It was unlike anything that Matt Rhule, Marcus Satterfield, even Glenn Thomas, who's worked in the NFL, they've never seen a guy who's as talented as Dylan Raiola. Again, there's a reason why he was as highly recruited as he was. But the question wasn't his traits. It wasn't his athletic ability. The question was always, how fast can he translate to Power 5 football? How fast can he go from playing high school football in Georgia now to Nebraska playing against Big Ten opponents? And Dylan Raiola talked about this. When he was interviewed, he said, yeah, the biggest challenge for him has been adapting to the speed of the game. It hasn't been learning the playbook. He's been very good at that, learning Matt Rhule's offense. It's just simply been a lot of these guys, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. He's got to get used to that, but that really shouldn't be a problem long term. That's normal. Every single freshman quarterback has went through that. But again, like I just said, he's learning the playbook at a high level. He's getting ready to start in the fall. And really, the inside scoop from people who've been at practices, they say two things. Number one, he's already building great relationships with the young receivers, with the older receivers, with the transfers. Again, that's been something that was huge for him to build those relationships, to be friends on and off the field, not only with those receivers, but with the O-linemen, with the running backs, to build those relationships throughout the team. That's something that Dylan Raiola prioritized in spring ball. And the number two thing that we're going to see in the spring game is how well he is at progressions, the ability to hesitate, find the open man, whether that's the first, second, or third read. Somebody who was at practice said he always finds the open man. He never throws in double coverage, unlike some of our other quarterbacks. That's really impressive from a freshman quarterback. And the final thing I'm going to say before we get into my overall predictions about Dylan Raiola is that Matt Rhule has to watch his words. Matt Rhule never really gave Dylan some great hype throughout spring practice because he has to watch it. He can't hype up Dylan Raiola and then leave Daniel Kaelin to the side and say, oh, Daniel Kaelin's not doing anything, right? He has to hype both of them up together. But mark my words, Dylan Raiola was the best performing quarterback throughout spring practice, and you're going to see it tomorrow. So let's just jump into my number one spring game prediction for Dylan Raiola. And this is kind of a negative thing, but they're going to hide Dylan Raiola. And it's because of how talented he is. This is all about strategy. We might not see too many drives from Dylan Raiola. And it all goes back to the fact that when you know you have a guy, an absolute stud, and no other team in the country has film about this guy, you want to keep it that way. Matt Rhule is all about strategy, all about getting ahead of the opponent, mind games. He's not going to let the Big Ten competition see the full game of Dylan Raiola. Absolutely not. He's not going to let them see 10 or more drives with Dylan Raiola. He's going to hide him. And with that, unfortunately, the offense is probably going to be hit as well. We have a new co-offense coordinator in Glenn Thomas. I expect the offense to be very bland. There's going to be a lot of checkdowns. So it's not really a great thing to start off my predictions. But yeah, they're going to hide Dylan Raiola because he's so talented. You don't want the other teams to get a glimpse of him. You want to kind of save that for the fall so they have to prepare on the spot. But let's get into the positive stuff. And it's really number two is that his arm talent is going to be notable from day one. I mean, he's going to take the first snap for Nebraska. And he's going to make things look easy. You're going to watch guys like Daniel Kalen, Heinrich Haarberg take snaps. And it's going to be night and day watching Dylan Raiola instead. Okay. There's going to be a play where he threads the needle, where he's throwing the ball maybe down the middle to Thomas Fidone and just throws it in between the zone, the way he can. Or there's going to be a play where 30 yards down the field, he's going to throw it up to Isaiah Nair, and he's going to go snag it. And it's like, dang, I don't think Daniel Kalen can make that pass. My hope is for Matt Rhule to display his arm talent a little bit, right? I want Marcus Satterfield to drop a go route where he just says, hey, Malachi Coleman, go on a go route. Dylan Raiola is going to throw it 40 yards down the field to you. Go up and get it. Like, that's what I want to see. Not only because I want to see that arm ability by Dylan Raiola, but I want to see Malachi Coleman go up and, 50-50 ball and go snag it, right? So I pray that Matt Rhule, Marcus Satterfield draw something up like that for the fans, for Dylan Raiola. I mean, that would get the crowd pumped up. Can you imagine that? But I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to at least give Dylan Raiola one of those plays where, yeah, go display your arm talent, throw the ball up 30, 40 yards. That arm talent is going to be different. It's going to be different than anything you've ever seen before. Even good quarterbacks like Casey Thompson, guys who've been talented in the arm department, even Tommy Armstrong could sling it, 50, 60 yards. It's going to be different. The second you see Dylan Raiola, you've never seen anything like it in a Husker uniform. Which brings me to my third prediction for Dylan Raiola, my third and final. It's simply this. You're going to leave the game knowing two things. One, he's the quarterback one. There's no debate. You should have already known that. And number two, you feel dang confident going forward that he's not only going to be quarterback one, but he's going to be elite from day one. In the first game of the season versus UTEP until the last game against Iowa, he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the country as a true freshman. Okay, nobody on the roster is as fluid of a passer as him. He makes it look easy, right? With a flick of the wrist, he can throw the ball 50 yards down the field. Nobody has his talent. Nobody can throw it as far as him. Nobody has the accuracy. Nobody has the intangibles, the IQ. It's that stuff that you can't even teach because he's such a smart player. And really, every single quarterback that plays tomorrow is going to struggle. Dylan Raiola is going to struggle. Heinrich Haarberg's going to struggle. Daniel Kalen's going to struggle. But here's what's going to make Dylan Raiola different is the fact that when he does struggle, it's not as much and it's not as bad. And on the other side of the spectrum, his highs are going to be ridiculously better. He's going to have that, again, throw the ball in the needle, in the haystack to a guy in double coverage, right? And he just threads the needle. Super hard pass. He's going to throw the ball 40 yards down the field right in the breadbasket. It's stuff like that that's going to get you hyped up, and you're going to be like, yeah, he's that guy. And again, it's just the fact that we don't want to sit here and hype him up too much because obviously I know everybody's going to have their eyes on Dylan Raiola, but it's hard not to get hyped up when you see plays like that, and it's going to be happening. So hopefully we see stuff like that. Hopefully Rhule lets him go in the offense, doesn't really hold too much back because us fans, man, I mean, we put a lot of effort, we put a lot of time thinking about this team and buying tickets. Give us a little bit of show here with the freshman quarterback. So let's get to my final takes here. Tomorrow's the big day. Dylan Raiola Day. National Dylan Raiola Day within the state of Nebraska. But I'm going to say two things here. Number one, don't overreact on Dylan Raiola. It's a spring game. At the end of the day, it is a scrimmage. It is a practice. Okay? If he makes a bad play, it's not the end of the world. It really doesn't mean anything. If he makes a good play, it still doesn't mean anything. We're not going to say, if he throws a 50-yard pass down the field and it's a touchdown, for example, we're not going to absolutely go crazy about that play. We shouldn't because it's a spring game. At the end of the day, we've seen some great performance in the spring game. We just have. So we're not going to overreact one way or another. And number two is that I know everybody's going to have their eyes on Dylan Raiola, me included. But let's give props to other players as well. Let's watch out for other guys as well. Because there are a bunch of other talented players who are really going to be making a name for themselves in this spring game. Some talented freshmen, some talented sophomores who we also need to be watching out for. Like, for example, like Malachi Coleman, right? If Dylan Raiola throws a ball up to Malachi Coleman and Malachi Coleman snags it, the storyline should not be Dylan Raiola, what a throw. We should also give credit to Malachi Coleman for making that catch. So, again, just keep that in mind, right? Obviously, watch out for other players too, because it's their spring game as well. But guys, this is what we've all waited for. Since the moment Dylan Raiola committed, we've waited to see him in Nebraska, scarlet and cream. Tomorrow, we're going to see that, and hopefully it is a great show. So everybody, enjoy the spring game. I'm pre-recording this. I'm in Anaheim, California, during the spring game, so I'll be watching it on my phone, so no live stream or anything, but I'm excited to have my takes on the Sunday. We'll be posting something a little bit about that spring game, so watch out for that. Make sure to enjoy the game. Hey, if you made this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, folks, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule. Hey, extra one today. Go Dylan Raiola, and see you in the next one.